Welcome to I Am Sherri Goodall. I'm your host, Sherri Goodall, and in today's special episode, I'm joined by Tab Wolod of IEI Agency to explore a fascinating topic: why giving back is good for business. Discover the profound connections between philanthropy and success as we unravel the secrets of business that thrive while making a positive impact. Stay tuned for valuable insights and inspiring stories that will transform your perspective on business and social responsibility. Let's dive in. Good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Sherri Goodall. This is the I Am Sherri Goodall podcast. And I am so excited to be back here recording again. It's been a minute. A lot of things have happened. We've even updated and changed the podcast a little bit. We've changed the title just slightly, ever so slightly. And I'm going to tell you more about that as well. But before I do, I want to just acknowledge who is here with me on the podcast today. My good friend, my business partner. That's right, we get money together. And she is the guru when it comes to branding. Tabitha Tab Wolod. Welcome.
Thank you, Sherri, for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
I can't even imagine who I would kick off this new season of the I Am Sherri Goodall podcast with. Tab, I changed the name of it just a little bit. I added a subline title, which is Marketing, Musings, and Life Lessons.
I love it. I love it. And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Outreach pioneer that you're so much more than this, but like you're such a pioneer in this field. And it's a blessing to be here. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'm really glad that you touched on that, because behind us, if you're watching the video, we actually have our QR codes so you can scan to our businesses. And what many of you do not know is that in November of 2022, I launched another arm of my marketing business called Good Business Community. And Tab and I are here to talk about the value of community outreach. So let me give you a little background on myself and what it is that I do in terms of community outreach. In my life prior to being an entrepreneur, I was the community outreach manager for a national retail chain for 8 years, I believe it was. And I was responsible for creating community activities for our employees across the country and connecting with organizations at the grassroots level so that we could give back to the communities that shopped and served, that we served. So Tab and I want to talk today because Tab has recently stepped into the CSR and civic engagement arena, but she's bringing her marketing wisdom to this. And so Tab, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing as well, and then we in terms of your business with this, and then we'll dive into some projects that you recently worked on.
Thank you, Sherri. Yes. So yes, talk about this social impact space. What did you call this arena? I was getting right. I needed to note that.
Oh, you know I talk fast. I don't know what I just said.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got to go back and listen. But so at this time, I am positioned as an idea strategist. I've been calling myself the Ideator, trying to play with that. So in the past, I've always, done strategy, working with clients to implement the strategy and then fulfill on the work. But I realized that my greatest strength is really in the ideation process. And I can still help my clients get the work fulfilled, but this is my passion, is to help take your idea out of your head into your heart and organize it in a way where we can start with the idea, implement it, and generate income and then create an impact. And so I do that with solopreneurs or really mission-driven companies who are looking to launch a program, a campaign, anything having to do with this social impact arena.
Love it, love it, love it. I also really commend you because you are the ideation. You are the creator. You do dig in, and I'm glad you see that and recognize that, because when I first met you, you were doing the darn thing and didn't even realize it. Man, I walked away from that meeting. I was like, what just happened in here? This girl had my head all flipped around the ideation of my brand and what I was doing. And I just love it. I thank you for that. And I've watched you do this with other people, and it's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you, Sherri. And can I just give a thank you to Tony Harris Taylor as my business coach? She helped me to really hone in on that, exactly, like launch. Instead of saying I do brand development, I do websites, I do social media. She's like, Tab, you're launching people's ideas. Let's keep it like that. So thank you, Sherri, for all of that.
Absolutely. And we do have to give Tony a shout out. Tony is also my business partner over in the Network in Action leadership. I'm a leader in her group, and we are a professional networking, warm referral networking group. So thank you. Yes, Tony, we love you here.
Love you, Tony.
Listen, Tab, you last week had something that was like, it was so amazing. And this project, I couldn't wait to talk to you about this and interview you about this. What is the project that you were working on last week?
Yes. So the project is called Mission Possible Mongo. In short, what I'm doing is working with a small team. The headliner for this is a young man from Mongo, Zambia, Africa. His name is Johnny Kalinga, or they call him Johnny K. And Johnny is a skateboard superstar in the social enterprise space when it comes to skateboarding. So Johnny was able to create the first skate park ever in Zambia. And keep it, yes. And in the town where this is currently located, yes, there was nothing to do recreational wise. So there was a need. And so Johnny picked up skateboarding. He traveled a little bit. He saw all of these things that can happen, making changes in that social sphere just from bringing in something that's recreational. But what he learned was that once he got the skate park together, and mind you, Sherri, the skate park doesn't have a bathroom, doesn't have any facilities, no fresh water, running water. It's just a skate park. And so it just so happens that he's hosting the second national Zambian skateboarding championship on September 2nd.
Wow.
On September 2nd, yes.
Okay, tell me more about that. So yes. National Zambian, what's it called? National Zambian
skateboarding competition.
What is that? Can you talk about that a little bit before you go on?
Yes. So in a sense, Johnny kind of started this skateboarding wave. And so he was kind of sharing that initially. He got a skateboard, he was skating. Some of the local kids saw it, they loved it. They were making skateboards out of wooden planks and taking wheels from luggage and making the skateboard wheels. Sherri, it was real.
Wow. They say necessity is the mother of invention.
Oh my, yes. And so if y'all want to follow them, it's We Skate Mongo _101. And the nonprofit organization that Johnny created is called We Skate Mongo.
And how do you spell Mongo again, just for listeners?
Yes. Thank you. MONGU.
Okay. All right.
Yes. And so this skateboard championship is bringing 1,000 people from Zambia to this skate park on September 2nd. In a few days, right? And like I just said, they don't have bathrooms, facilities. So right now, he just touched down from the United States. So the way that I met him was he was in the UMBC Mandela Washington Fellowship Program. He graduated the program at the end of July and said, wait, I can't go back to my country without bringing skateboards, because at that time, at the end of July, they had one skateboard for all of these kids that are practicing. And there are about 500 kids on average that come to the park to practice.
Wait, so what I heard you say just now was that he created this program. They built skateboards using wheels from luggage and wood. And there was one that was shared among 500 kids?
So I'm sorry to take it back. Initially, that's what the kids were doing. They created their own. Johnny was able to raise funds working with other organizations around the world. And so they got some skateboards. These kids are skating with no shoes on, though. So they had a few, but there's so much wear and tear, skateboards break. And so over the years, they've had a few skateboards here and there. They've always had to share skateboards. I asked Johnny, hey, what do you do if you're waiting on a board? And while they're teaching how to skate, they're also teaching the kids leadership, how to communicate with each other, teamwork, all types of social skills, right? While they're waiting on a board to practice. And so prior to the competition, when he came here, they only had one working board. It was a fully functional board, but that's what they had. So
Wow.
I was tasked with, I got pulled into this campaign. Shout out to Paulo Gregory. He runs the Black Butterfly Network. So I'm in this cohort. So he pulled me in, and he said, Tab, I have this beautiful young man I want you to meet. It's just so beautiful as a person, and he needs support. So we need to help rally to get him as many skateboards as possible before this championship. So Sherri, I'm blessed to say that through leading these efforts, we're able to get over 40 skateboards back to Mongu this week. And they're actually 25, because the rest have to be shipped over because there's so much luggage that Johnny had to come back with, and he had to go by plane, train, and automobile. So we're still accepting monetary donations at We Skate Mongu, mongu.com. And we're going to continue developing this program even after the championship. So that's what happened.
Wow. That is amazing. And I want to sit in this for a second, because there is an entire extreme sports skateboarding culture here across the world, right? But one of the things that I've come to realize since the pandemic is that people probably aren't going to like me saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Say it.
I think that we as Americans often think or forget that there's a world happening outside of us, and the pandemic made it real. We think that our problems are our problems, and we don't look at things from a world view in a large majority of us. There are definitely, obviously, people who do, but I'm just saying culturally,
yes,
we don't look at the world at large, right? And to think about something like this, right? We're not talking about all the world problems, but skateboarding.
Yeah.
Skateboarding. And that kids in other countries are skateboarding and creating their own skateboard still, when we're having full, like, internationally sponsored competitions. And do you remember the Do Tour? Remember?
Mountain. Yes.
Yeah, the Do Tour, and they would have all these extreme sports. We forget about, like, their kids like Johnny.
There's kids like Johnny, and the thing is, like, it's such an impact for a small town that doesn't get they don't have anything recreational to do. These kids are out there hanging out in the streets. When you think about urban areas in the United States and what we need, this is a solve to a lot of social problems. And even people were leaving the town of Mongu and going to, like, either Zambia's capital once they graduated high school. There's nothing there, so it's actually creating jobs. Someone started a skate shop down there because it's such a need now.
Wow.
Parents understand that if the kids are at the skate park, they're safe. They're being taken care of. Johnny has, like, different like skate park 1, skate park 2, like, he's organized. This is a whole operation there. And when girls are skating, girls are learning how to skate, and that's, like, unheard of there. So so it's crazy. These kids could make it to the Olympics. It's life-changing. I think on average they live off of, like, it's so little, I don't even want to quote it, but I saw something that said like $1.50. I don't know if it's a week, a day, a month, but it's so little, Sherri. And so something like this is life-changing for a kid that just has nothing, no vision. They haven't seen anything. So it's I love this word.
I love that you're bringing this to our attention. I love that you jumped in, sleeves rolled up with both feet, and were like, "Let's get it." Let's talk about your work and how you tied into this specifically. What work have you done with Johnny to get him to where it is, and what is it that you want to see going forward with your business?
Oh, thank you. So that's a great question, Sherri. So in the transition of my business, and we're big on like setting intentions, right? And seeing things manifest and putting in that work, right? And so prior to meeting Johnny, I really have been doing a lot of brand development, as you know, and kind of offering all the things and doing social media and all these things that are involved with marketing your business. Once I was able to hone in on helping these social impact organizations launch their ideas, then I was brought in all of a sudden by the facilitator of this cohort from that is Paulo Gregory of the Black Butterfly Network. And so it's kind of just being at the right place, the right time. And I got to the cohort through a friend. Shout out to Dummy Apparel. So JD sent me this link and said, apply for this. I was like, I'm not doing this. I did it. It's been the most spiritual adventure ever, and working with some really cool people in the community, all business owners. But this opportunity came my way through that. And then the folks that brought me in outside of Paulo, there's a small team, and everyone was kind of busy. And so they were like, look, we need you to take the lead, Tab. And I was like, cool, it's my time to go. Right. You know how I get, Sherri.
Yes.
So I was like, let's go. Let's start with the strategy. You know, I break out the checklist and the implementation plan, and understanding once we do the discovery process, creating the strategy in terms of outreach, in terms of the actual campaign, social media assets. We identify those things, and then we get to going. We get to create, and we get to getting the word out there. And so,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that. That's what it is.
So let's talk about that process a little bit. So you start with a discovery process. For listeners who aren't familiar with what that looks like when you're working in your world, Tab, around branding and developing that, what does a discovery process look like? Like, walk me through what would happen in a discovery.
Oh, that's a good question, Sherri. We get down and dirty. So in the discovery process, it's really an intake where I want you to give me your ideas. So I'm asking very strategic questions about who you are, what your vision is, what are you trying to accomplish? Where do you see yourself day to day? What are your primary objectives? Do you have a mission? And really tapping into those things, because I always respond with a question. So I like to get down to the nitty gritty. Who are you really? Don't just give me the regular sales pitch, right? So I need to know the core of what it is that you're doing. And then I have this ability, I think it's a God-given ability, to take that information and make it make sense in a way that people understand it. So that discovery process, to me, is very spiritual. We whip it up. I ask God for any downloads, and then I'm able to kind of present the work and say, okay, based on what I heard you say, how does this line up? Here is your mission. Here is your vision. These are your core values. These are the immediate objectives. And then from there, and it's a lot deeper. I mean, we go into all the things about the brand ethos, and then create the strategy, right? So it's like, okay, well, to get from where you are to where you're trying to go, here are the steps that you need to implement. And so going through that checklist.
And then and that's, I've had that experience again at the top of this conversation. Mind blowing. Okay. Yeah, it's like being in therapy session, because you dig in, and there are questions that at times I had to go, let me think about this for a minute to make sure that I'm giving you the actual answer, and not the party line that we've all been taught to develop elevator pitches and the mission and the vision and this and that, right?
Yes.
But before we got to that,
yes,
it was what we were thinking, what we were feeling, what we wanted to see. And that's how those things developed. And you take us all the way back to that.
Yes, thank you for that, Sherri. I was on a discovery call yesterday with the fellow entrepreneur, and the funny thing about us is that we have all these ideas. We got ideas for days, right? And then one idea we're talking about, and it's like, oh, because I had this idea that goes along with it, right? So it's my job to kind of settle in and focus on that one thing that you're really trying to move the needle forward on, and ask clarifying questions and break it down. I always ask people to break it down for me as if I didn't know anything about you, or break it down for me as if I was a third grader. And once we get to that, right? Once we get to, and I sometimes it annoys people because they're like, I just told you. I'm like, I understand if you feel like this information was conveyed, but I need you to break it down on a fundamental level so I can really take it and run with it.
Yeah. Yeah, you really do challenge people in that discovery call. And I think it's a good thing, because we often don't go back to those conversations that we were having with ourselves, or maybe even with others, in the beginning of creating whatever it is we're creating in our workspace, right?
Those light bulb moments. That's why I like to call them. It's like,
Yes.
Yeah, I remember. Bing. Okay, now we're on to something, right? And we can feel the synergy building, and it's like, okay, cool, So
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. Light bulb effects. So once you're done with discovery and you delivered everything, or what can someone expect to receive from you?
Sure. So there's a few ways that people that organizations or entrepreneurs we work together. So from the brand discovery, or from the, let's just say, the initial discovery, because it's not we're collecting brand marketing information to use it for a strategic plan. So I'll deliver a plan, which is an implementation plan, and it's really all the things we talked about and all the ways to do it. So I have a launch protocol now. So L, starting with leveraging your idea. A is actualizing. U is unveiling the potential. N is nurturing that idea. C, girl, don't have me the line. I forget what C is. And then C is cultivating the idea further to really make sure that we're going to have a sustainable way to see it through. And then H is harvesting the rewards.
Gotcha.
And so in all of those ways, we're looking to follow the path, right, from where you are now to where you say that you want to be, your ultimate goal. And then we're checking off all those boxes. So it may mean, okay, here's your social media strategy. And then we're identifying the social media assets that are needed. It may mean, here's your outreach strategy. So what are the outreach assets that are needed, right? It could be a one-pager, whatever it is, you need a presentation, right? And so those are the things that we discover from the strategic planning piece, and then go into implementation. From there, that may be all that these organizations need. They may have teams who can take that and run with it. If not, once we identify the assets, myself or my team may fulfill on that. So I actually work with different contractors and designers who can, if we need some social media assets, boom, here you go. And that's it. There's a lot of pieces to it, but try not to get carried away.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I like the fact that everything you do is it's comprehensive. The service you provide is comprehensive in terms of branding and what's needed. I think, and you and I talk about this often, branding and marketing. Branding is an aspect of marketing, right? Yes. And people don't understand that. And I don't fault them, because in any career path, there are various areas. So for example, you and I both know that in marketing, there's branding, there's social media management, there's strategy, there's advertising, They're all different areas.
Email campaign.
Oh, yes.
However you're looking to engage, and that's what we look at, ways to engage. What are you currently doing? And Sherri, you have to talk about this because we've had so many conversations, and you're such a thought leader and a pioneer in this game. It's time for these things to be defined. What is marketing? What are some of these terms, because they're used so freely? What is social media management? There's like 100 components to that, but people don't understand it.
Right, right. And thank you, Tab, for that, because one of the things I do want to move with in this new iteration of I Am Sherri Goodall is to educate people more about marketing so that when they're going to hire someone like you or me, that they know exactly what they're doing and who they're hiring so that they're not disappointed in the outcomes. They thought they were getting a marketing person that was going to help them with one thing and they got something else. Not always the other person's fault. Sometimes it's your lack of understanding. Yeah, so we need to talk about that. But I want to get back to the conversation about community service and the kind of things that you did over last week.
Yes.
What were some of the opportunities that you presented to the community last week and got into it? I know that you and I talked about some things I had done in the past as well. So let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it, right? Okay, so you're going to tell your part because I think it's so cool. And I would say that with that, there has been a template kind of laid out and redone so many times in terms of like community events. Yeah. So let me shout out I'm Still Standing Community Development Center. It's in Baltimore on Caton Avenue for anyone who's familiar. It's a trade school. All the trades are free. No out-of-pocket costs for Maryland residents, and it's such a huge resource. But it's a hidden gem. And so, what you're referring to, Sherri, last week, in the midst of doing other client work and kind of running with this Mission Possible Mongoose campaign, I also did a back-to-school event. I led that at I'm Still Standing, and so there. Back to school events are huge, so Sherri has to go into that, but there's different elements, right? You want to make sure that you're serving the community, offering back to school supplies. A lot of times there's haircuts involved, so we gave haircuts, offering, even personal hygiene kits for people that everyone needs hygiene kits, but especially in the area where this event was hosted, there is a big transient and unhoused population. And so you don't just have kids coming in just for back to school. When people see an event, they like to come in and check it out. So we were able to serve food, give information about the school. Of course, a very intricate piece of this is making sure that you are able to capture information, right? So I think from a marketing perspective, that's crucial. But the goal is to really just serve the community and meet the community needs and make sure that you can do as much good business as possible.
Yes, good business in the community.
So we had about 100 people come through, and that was awesome. Just coming in and out. Now, it wasn't your events were cranking. You got to go into that, but this specifically, I've led other events, and there's different types of events, but specifically for back to school, you want to make sure that the kids are taken care of, and even their parents have the support that they need. So we were able to kind of do that in two ways, by serving the kids and offering information and resources for the parents.
And there are so many of these back to school activities that are happening all around the country. The day we spoke, I just had seen where Amazon here in Baltimore did a back to school event, and they literally did the exact same thing you did, which was, giving out backpacks, school supplies, food. They did haircuts and braids, and their employees volunteered. And, that's what people are doing. Tab wants me to tell this story, so in honor of Tab. So back in 2007, when I was with corporate, I was with a company called DTLR. Depends on what part of the country you're in. Some people know it as Downtown Locker Room, back in the day, right? And the company actually was founded with the principle of giving back. One of the original founders of the company, shout out to Rick Levin. I hope you're out there listening. I love you, Rick. Rick really was intentional about downtown locker room getting involved in the community. He started out by having face painters and snowballs in front of one of our first stores, which was down in Pigtown.
I was in Pigtown. Are you serious?
Yes, that was one of the first stores. The one in Pigtown. And Pigtown is not offensive. Anybody listening?
Right.
It's actually the name of a neighborhood here in Baltimore that is famous because they used to run pigs through the street when they were getting them to market. So hello. But with that, when I went to the company, and with Rick's blessing, and I was given a lot of freeway from my supervisor. Shout out to Jeff Bowden as well. Hey, Jeff. They allowed me to run with whatever they gave me and do whatever I wanted. And I'm grateful for that because we were able to achieve a lot. And so we started doing back to school, but we started doing next level, which at the time was everything that we just talked about, haircuts and all of that. I would bring in a chef and have him pull up with a grill. Chef Jason Ellis, who's out there doing big things right now, of Hell's Kitchen. He would come and roll out his smoker and provide food to the kids. He was also, at the time, the way I met him is that he was a personal chef to my friend Chauncey Davis, who I was doing work with. He played for the Atlanta Falcons, and it was Chauncey's idea. I cannot take full credit to do back to school haircuts for the kids in Atlanta.
Yes.
And so I said, Chauncey, if we're going to do it, we got to do it big. We got to make it look like DTLR. We got to make it look like it's a superstar reality show type thing. And Chef had just finished recording his season on Hell's Kitchen. So it was crazy. Nobody knew who he was except for me and Chauncey and, the people there. But his show hadn't even aired yet. So it was really crazy. But we did haircuts right in the store. We pushed the mannequins and the clothes back, and we had people line up. We brought in barber chairs. We brought in Chauncey's personal barber along with his staff from his shop. And we had chef out there feeding them, and employees in the store giving gift bags, actually backpacks with school supplies when they got out the chair. And we gave them vouchers to go towards buying tennis shoes for their uniforms, so they were able to look fresh for going back to school. The thing that and I know, Tab, is that, and I think a lot of people have come to understand, children need to start the school year off feeling confident and prepared.
Yes, there's nothing better than that.
Yes. And I think, we owe it to them to get a good start into their school year. And something as simple as having a few school supplies that maybe your mom or dad couldn't afford, or your caregiver, having a nice hairstyle and feeling confident about that. And if you can get some fresh sneakers to go with your uniform,
done deal.
It's simple.
It's simple. And we overlook it so much.
Yeah, we do. We do overlook it. And so good business community is really about working with businesses to teach them what are the low-hanging fruits that you have available to you that you can then provide to the communities that you serve, or an area that you're interested in serving. So, yeah, I mean, I love the work you're doing, Tab. I love the organizations you're working with. I want to wrap this up because time has gotten away from us, and we've been chatting. I'm loving this conversation. So right now, I'm going to put you on the spot and make you promise to come back. Say yes.
Yes, I promise. Yes, thank you, Sherri. Let's go. I can't wait.
Yes, we have so much to talk about. But let's tell people once more about the two organizations that you're working with, where they can find them, and also where people can find you.
Thank you so much. All right, y'all. So www.weskat MONGU, WeScape Mangu, or follow them at WeScape Mangu _101 on Instagram. And please support, follow, see what's going on in the WeScape Mangu community. Again, the National Zambian Skateboarding Championship is on September 2nd. I'm Still Standing Community Development Center. Check them out online, issccmd.org. And you can also just check on Facebook as well. I'm Still Standing Community Development Center. For me, follow me at on Instagram at IEI Agency, or check me out at www.ieiagency.com. And I would love to hear what you're working on.
Awesome. Tab Wolod, thank you so much for being my guest. And I look forward to seeing what comes out of the work that you're doing, because I know it's going to be awesome, and I can't wait to have you back.
Thank you, Sherri. I can't either.
Thank you. One. All right. I am here with my good friend Tab Wolod. If you have not checked out her podcast episode on I Am Sherri Goodall, you have to do it. And ain't nothing to it but to do it. I know that was corny, but I had to say it. It was just like in my spirit, because this is the part of the episode where we actually get a little silly. It's called a hot seat. I like to come with some rapid fire questions. And Tab, are you ready? All right. Now for my listeners,
I'm ready, Sherri. Let's go.
Better. All right. No, I don't like this.
I'm the first one.
All right. Everybody, listen up. I am here with Tab Wolod. If you have not listened to her episode on I Am Sherri Goodall, the podcast, you got to check it out. But right now, I want to give you an opportunity to get to know Tab a little bit better. And Tab, are you ready? Because we're about to do this hot seat. You ready?
Let's go. Let's go.
Fire.
Let's go.
Favorite superhero?
Oh. I don't Superman.
Okay. What are you listening to in your playlist these days?
Drake and Kendrick.
Really?
Yeah, I love Drake.
Really? Love it. I was listening to Be Humble the other day. That's my ish. Okay. Next question. High heels or sneakers?
Girl, sneakers.
Okay, wait, let me rephrase that for you. Timbs or sneakers?
Timbs.
Hey. Last book that you read?
Dang, Sherri, I don't know. It's on my Audible. Can I pull up Audible or no? I don't have.
Yeah, go ahead, pull it up.
All right. Hold tight. Let the people know. It's always business oriented. I have to re-download Audible. It's you know her too. Damn, this is awful. It has the F word in the title. Hold on, it just downloaded.
It has the F word in the title.
Yeah, but it's like okay, no, you're a badass at making money. That's what it's called. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I like that. I like her. Okay, so next thing. If you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. Okay. Yeah. All right. And then I like to end with something a little special. If you had money and money wasn't an object, wasn't a problem, where would you give back?
I would be on platforms like this, getting out every day and talking about these social issues. My way of giving back would be just being this voice for the underserved and helping to raise awareness around all these social causes that are happening every day.
Love it. Thank you, Tabitha Wolod. You did well.
Very good.
Oh shoot! Hold on, girl. I don't know what I'm doing.